Welcome to Beyond Talent Swim Podcast, Episode 2, where we believe that talent does not win, but systems win. So today we have a very interesting conversation with one of the best female swimmers currently in the nation, Victoria Okumu. And she's been able to swim at a high level from the time she was young all the way to university, which is very rare because we find that most girls are dropping out of swimming around 12, 13. By the time they're 16, we barely have any swimmers. So today we just want to understand, what did she do? How did she get to where she's gotten now? And how can she advise and help other girls get to where she's gotten? Welcome, Victoria.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thanks. So yes, Victoria, maybe I want to hear about your journey, your swimming journey. So I want to, until at least from the point you started swimming to the point you are a teen, so about 12 years. Maybe walk me through what that looked like.
Okay, well, I started swimming pretty young. I think my first competition was when I was 5 or 6, these small baby galas. I think my journey leading up to preteen 12 was actually very good, very steady, but also due to, not to brag, but due to my talent, I obviously was moving higher than I think would have been expected from a lot of other people. And based on that, obviously, there's this demand for performance and stuff, but I think it pushed me to be a better person and be a better swimmer. But yeah, I think leading up from when I was young to up until then, it was very good. My coaches were very good. My school was very supportive. So were my parents, friends, family. Everything was pretty good.
So what did your training schedule look like when you were starting out for the first 3 years? Do you remember? Because I know you're in kindergarten when you're starting.
I think back then it was more of just something light, not to scare you. I only mainly started because I was following my sister, just as how siblings would. Your sibling swim, so you'd swim, and then but based on that, it would only be maybe a few afternoons from my high school. My primary when I was in LCBR, and it was very light, nothing too pressuring. Few 25s, dives here and there. Yeah.
At what point did you start increasing or start taking the sport seriously? At what age?
I think when I had turned around 10, I'm going to say 10, 11, because around then I had made, back then there was SA Nationals, like the levels, level 1, level 2, level 3. And then I think I made level 3 at the age of, I think 11. I had 1 or 2 times. And my parents are like, oh my God, you're so good. We need to step that up so that you can go. But obviously I was too young. So my parents, coaches didn't advise, or there's always the years coming. So build up to that. But my schedule was one training a day, not high mileage, just enough to keep me going. I mean, I was young, I can't do too much, and then I still have school to balance. Yeah, that was my training.
So let's go back to before you were 10. So between 8 and 10, were you training every day or were you training how many
I
training
was
sessions?
training every day.
Okay.
So one session a day, mainly afternoons, but I would squeeze in a few mornings because my sister, who's obviously older than me, would swim in the morning. So my parents are like, we're killing two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
If she's going, you can just go. Then in the afternoon, maybe rest, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so now walk us through from the time you were about 10 to 13. What did that look like for you?
It was I think around that time was, I think my most intense. I'm not going to say it was my peak, but around that time I was swimming very, very, very well. I was doing gym regularly, but not intense gym.
Yeah.
But I was doing gym, and I had increased a few of my trainings. Maybe now, instead of only singles, I would have maybe another one day of a double. And then, yeah, stretching, my diet had changed as well. And then, yeah, actually, that's pretty much it.
So you enjoyed it during that period. So were there times you were like, okay, why am I doing this? Or were you full in?
I was full in then because I was like, wow, I'm so fast. Like, there's no one like me. And that drove me to continue. I was like, I'm so good. Like, I'd want to be higher and achieve higher. So at that time, I was like, yes, put me in. Like, let's train, let's do this, let's do this. And it's not like my grades were suffering. So I was like, I'm just going to continue. Yeah.
So your motivation was mostly that you were doing well, or were
Yeah.
there other motivations that you had?
I think back then it was, yeah, that I was doing well, but I also really enjoyed the sport. And I enjoyed the sport, and then that translated into, oh my God, you're doing so well.
Okay.
So that was kind of like the main motivation, but also I was pretty good. And I was like, just keep going.
Okay. So let's throw a spanner in the works. So let's say at that age you were not doing well. Do you think you'd have continued swimming?
Mm, I'm not sure, but I think I will. I would have,
Okay.
because again, I started mainly because of my sister.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
have to swim with her, and
Yeah.
I would have wanted to continue regardless. And I think I liked having a little thing on the side apart from school and whatever, just making me feel a bit different from everybody else in my primary, because everyone would just come home. I mean, go to school, go home, but it's like, oh, I did this on my free time, and I am still doing well in this and this, and yeah, I
Okay.
think so.
So now let's get into the main aspect of the topic for today. So at what point did you start realizing that the girls you were swimming with were starting to drop off?
Um, when was it? I think when I had turned 16,
Okay.
maybe 15, 16. Now, this is obviously right before COVID hit. This is 2019. I had just turned 16, I think. Yeah, and a lot of people I would say that I used to swim with had stopped. And I think a lot of their reasons were school. Yeah, a lot of people would focus on that more than swimming. So that's when I noticed a lot of people started to drop out. Yeah.
Okay, so other than school, are there any other things that might be specific to girls? Because as we were discussing before, when you look at nationals,
Yeah.
the 16 and over age group, you're only three of you, or at most four. Sometimes you can even be alone, like you're saying in Mombasa. You are literally the only girl 16 and over swimming. Are there any issues that are specific, that would specifically cause girls to drop off early? Have you had anything? So basically, have you been able to pick anything other than academics?
Okay, I'm gonna say based on my experience, there's well, for one, I think our bodies go through a lot of new changes, and you're not really prepared for what your body can do. So when you have all these hormonal imbalances, and then there's this weight gain, and also a lot of girls, it's we start thinking like, oh my God, like who's gonna, like guys are gonna judge me how I look based on that, and you're in a costume the whole time. So that was also a factor. Things like puberty, all these changes your body goes through, and most of the time we're just not used to it. So it's like it hits you, and then I don't know. It's really hard to, then you find it hard to speak to your parents about it, because it's like, oh, I don't know, how would they take it? Would they just give you that advice for just keep going, and when maybe that's not what you need. And then also there's like, I'm gonna say FOMO. A lot of your friends are having this social aspect you're
Yes.
missing. For me, that was also a really big factor. Like birthdays, I couldn't go because I'm tired, or I have swimming the next morning, or sleepovers, or there's a gala that clashes with one of my friends' birthdays. Sometimes people decide to choose that life for their own, like, it's just like, that's not what I want for myself, and I want to build that social whatever. So they would pick that, then maybe you're swimming. Yeah.
Okay, so I think I've picked out three things, main things. So you've talked about school, you've talked about social, and you've talked about body image. So let's tackle the first one on the academic side of things. So for you, do you feel like swimming hindered your academics? So this is actually now for the parents, because we need them to know, does swimming actually affect your academic achievements?
I'm gonna say no. For me, it didn't really hinder me. The coaches around me, obviously, because they swam as well during their high school, and they're like leading up to university, it was, you can balance both. And I genuinely think you can balance both. It's about time management. And sports teaches you that. So I don't think your sports hinders your grades. You can manage time. And during my A levels, I swam. My close friend as well. Like we all swam. Maybe the day of the exam, you take that time off, but you come back and you swim and you continue. And after all that, we still got A's. So it's I don't think swimming hinders your studying. To be honest, you can make time and manage both. Yeah.
Yeah, I also have a personal story. So when I was doing my year 11 exams, I would actually come straight from training. Sometimes my exams would be like at 11, my final, my O levels.
Yeah.
And I would actually just take like an hour to do my revision and then I would do the exam.
Yeah.
So, and I still got all A's. And the people who decided to take a break actually did better than them because I was being able to manage my time.
Yeah.
So let's go now to the one that's a bit tough to deal with, the body image issues, the hormonal changes. What do you think can be done better so that we can support swimmers? What do you think you should have been done? What should have been happening to you at that point that would help you support you through that period?
I think I would have wanted better education on it. Yeah, education, awareness, and just that space to just like speak freely on how you feel about those things. I feel like it's it's shunned, or if you have these sorts of thoughts, I don't know, or like mental health sort of things, sort of thoughts in your head, it's oh like it's gonna go away, or there's just no space for support. And I feel like that needs to be addressed first, but also just creating that education. I feel like maybe if my parents or someone else's parents had spoken to me about, like you're gonna reach this age and like it's gonna hit you, you're gonna grow or something, like you'll be too tall or like you'll add all this weight all of a sudden and like, things like that. I feel like maybe if I had been so aware of it, so when it comes, I'm just like, okay, it's here. Like, how am I gonna manage this? And then while still wanting to pursue what I have with swimming.
So, who do you think should be the most important person having that conversation? The parents, the coach, or the school? Or who do you think would have impacted you the most? Is it your mom coming to tell you? Is it your coach, who might be a man, for example? I don't know, was your coach male or female?
Back then, my coach was a woman.
A woman, okay.
Yeah.
So let's say it was a man, for example.
Yeah.
So who would you rather get that advice from early? So let's say you're 10
Yeah.
and you're told, look, in a few years, this and this would happen. Who would you prefer to walk you through that?
Definitely my mom.
Okay.
Obviously, well, she is the closest older female person to me. So I would want that education from her. I actually wouldn't have minded even if my coach was a man to tell me, it's just like straight up when you hit this age, it's gonna be hard. You come for training and it's not like you're slow or you're struggling. It's just your body's going through something and that's okay. Like don't beat yourself up for it. I feel like, yeah, definitely at home, my mom. And then also if my male coach could have, definitely I'd have wanted that as well.
Okay, nice. So for all the mothers out there, you've heard it. Talk to your girls early, by the time they're 10, even before they've gone through the changes, to just prepare them. Because sometimes it hits them and they don't know who to talk to, they don't know how to express themselves, because, there are a lot of hormonal changes going through. And also for the coaches, I know, especially for the men, it's a hard conversation to have sometimes with your swimmers, but it'll be good. So let's move on to a question I keep getting over and over about girls.
Yeah.
So once you become a teenager and you have your first period,
Yeah.
so walk me through what that looks like, because I have parents coming and asking me, so my daughter is on her period, she's going to take a break. Or my daughter, should she use a tampon or should she use a pad? So I'm not able to fully support them through that. So for you, what did that look like? Did that hinder your training? How were you able to make sure you transition through it properly so that you didn't have to take a break, or did you take a break?
So I didn't take a break. From my understanding on periods, because of the pressure of the water, you don't leak when you swim. The same thing, like when you go and shower, you don't leak. So you can still swim while on your period. A lot of people for safety would put a tampon on. It's not very necessary, but okay, for me, I didn't. And obviously it's fine. But during training, I know like everybody is different and you can get really bad period cramps, and that definitely hinders your swimming. There's some people who like can't get out of bed, can't swim, she can't walk, can't do anything. So around that time, I think it depends on the person. For me, I didn't really have too bad of cramps when I was younger. Right now, it's all right, it's manageable. Maybe pain meds, but yeah. I think for periods, maybe it's not a must to take a break, but also you need to understand like the person because maybe their cramps are horrible and they genuinely cannot swim. But also if you can, then you can still swim because you don't leak due to the pressure of the water. Yeah.
So another thing about, so of course when we look at the cycle, the different phases and the different hormones, and as ladies or a girl, you go through different parts of the cycle. So sometimes a competition is going to hit you when you're right in the middle of your period.
Yeah.
Another one will hit you when you're ovulating. Another one, does that affect anything, or is it the same?
It does actually. Oh my gosh. And actually, I feel it more at training. There are some weeks like, and I'm going to say last week was like a week I feel so strong, even in the gym. Like you are willing to pick up more weights. You're making time faster than you did maybe the week before in your period, Obviously, yeah, because of the different hormones, the different stages. There are times when your body is up at peak, and then there are times when you feel like absolute crap, and that's towards the time leading up to the menstrual,
Yeah.
like the period phase. But yeah, I think it's the difference is there. The difference is there, and most of the time, I mean, you just have to hope that the part where you're feeling strong comes during a
Yep.
gala, but it always shocks you. And it's during, like, your period comes around that weekend where you feel sluggish, you're tired, like everything hurts, But what can you do?
Has there been any support around that? Like, did your coach understand, or did they adjust training? Did they?
Yeah, no, like my coaches are very, very, very supportive, especially because like my coaches right now are men, so they don't really understand, but it's like they can only just be there to
Yeah.
understand you. So if you come and say, dude, like my cramps are so bad, and they're like, it's fine. Maybe instead of weighing on 120, go on 130, or wear fins instead, or put paddles on, things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're very supportive. Even when I had my female coach as well, she actually would give a lot of like classes on us like us girls athletes on like during periods how to put a tampon on and a pad and during swimming. So yeah, I think definitely my coaches are very supportive, and but most of the time also if they feel like it's just an excuse they'll call you out, but again they don't know, but it's like if you managed maybe last month then you can manage today, even if it's just one day, maybe tomorrow, like go on a slower time, something like that.
Yeah, I'm actually just listening to your story, and I now understand why you've also been able to swim for long. You had a very good support system
Yeah.
through that transition phase. And the reason I was actually asking that is because physiologically, when you look at ladies, when they go through those different phases, it's true. There's
Yeah.
actually a huge difference. And it's important for coaches to actually understand that. And if you don't understand that, you're going to end up tying performance on something that the girl cannot control.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think having education around that is quite important for coaches. So let's come to the third one,
Yeah.
which is very important for girls in particular, the social aspect. What was it that kept you in the sport when the rest decided to go and be with their friends?
It's very interesting. I think my main drive back then was obviously just because I was good at it, and I've been swimming for so long, so like just keep going. But also a lot of my very close friends were swimmers as well. And I think because there are people right beside you who are going through the same thing, then you're just like you're more whatever to continue swimming. And yeah, I think that's why I was not so hung up on going for social stuff. To be honest, I didn't feel like I was missing out because I was like, I don't know, I'm not gonna say that, but I think it felt like I was part of something bigger. Like, this is really nice, this is fun, but also like, if I have an opportunity to train and go for this really big competition like the Olympics, world champs, whatever, like I think that's way bigger than going for a house party in like my friend's house, something like that. And a lot of my close friends, we had the same beliefs and stuff like that. So it was very easy to not feel like I'm missing out on too much. And it was nice, actually. I felt really like it was really good to know that you have people around you who are going through the same thing and who are thinking like you. So it's very supportive. It's like, okay, well, I'm not going. Are you going? No, let's go for training tomorrow together, something like that.
I think that's quite important because also psychologically, when you look at girls are different from boys.
Yeah.
So girls need that social aspect to be there. So do you think introducing more social events within for the girls would actually help that cause, especially within the clubs? Because boys, for some reason, are able, like I was able to swim alone for a long time, even though some of my friends dropped out. But for the girls, I realized it really affected them. So is that a solution, or what can be done differently so that as a child, you're 16, you're still a child.
Yeah.
You don't feel like you're losing out on life. What do you think can be done?
I guess maybe, yeah, maybe introducing, yeah, like what you're saying, like social stuff for girls. Also, like for people in their age, people who are older, maybe to show them that, yeah, like as much as you feel so and so, like we're here and we're here to support you and we're going through whatever you feel like you're going through. Um, and obviously it's a really nice space, a little safety space for us girls. And I think that would be pretty good,
So
actually.
the mentorship aspect is quite important for girls, right?
I think so,
So okay,
myself.
this is a funny. You're not a boy or a man. So I wanted to ask you: do you think there's a difference between boys and girls that makes girls drop out more than boys? Is there something? Because if you look at the numbers and the statistics, the girls drop out way high. What's the difference?
Okay, well, I think in my case, when I was a lot younger, you don't really understand that biologically women and men are not the same. So it's like, oh, why is this? Let's say I'm 16 and then you have this 14-year-old boy who's like so much faster than you or something. Or like you're 16 and your 16-year-old counterpart male is swimming like intensively faster than you and you're starting to think, is it me? Because most of the time you feel like you train harder at swimming. Because I think back then that was my whatever, like I show up, I enter on time, I actually do everything fully. And then we go to competitions and it's like, you're swimming faster than me. And it's like, why is that? Am I the problem? I think back then that was something I used to think about. And it's like, I was like, maybe swimming is not for me. And it was a very, very hard type of, like, it's a very hard time, maybe grasping all of that. But also when you start to understand that, yeah, like women and men biologically are not the same. And it's okay. And, you should work with what you have, compare yourself to other girls and not your 16-year-old counterpart boy who's swimming way faster than you. Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Okay, so maybe just a short message out there for a 12 to 14-year-old girl who possibly feels like they want to give up. What advice would you give them, especially if they're not as talented as you, but show some potential? What advice would you give them?
Okay, well, I feel like I'll just say something generic like, oh, keep swimming. But but obviously I think at the end of the day you need to like the sport beyond you coming to swimming. Like no, okay, maybe not beyond you coming to swimming, but beyond your parents motivating you. I feel like it definitely has to come from within. So when you feel like you're reaching that stage of, your body's changing, things like that, just try and, I mean, it's easier said than done, but just try and think of like the bigger picture. You will learn to understand your body more and make that work for you. So just keep trying and find people around you like who are willing to be there and support you. And even if your close friends are not swimmers, maybe your friends outside from school, like invite them to come see you swim at a gala, maybe that can help you continue to swim. So it's like, oh, as much as I'm not going for this, like my friends are still here to support me and they still make time, things like that. But yeah, just continue and everything will definitely be well because it's usually just a phase. You will get better as much as you feel like you won't. You definitely will get better. Yeah.
So of course, some of the girls will be asking you, so like, okay, fine, it's just swimming, but what are the benefits? What will I get out of it? It's just swimming. Are there things that have changed in your life because of swimming? Has swimming made your life better beyond just the sport itself?
I would say yes. Okay, well, there's obviously the things you learn from basic sport, discipline, time management, things like that. But there's also again the social aspect which you feel like you may miss out from the other source, but you are meeting entirely different people from you. Like the only people you know are guys from your school, but now you're meeting people from other schools or other institutions who have other lives, and that also is your sort of connection. And I think that would be good. I think in the long run, it's nice. I mean, I grew up with people from many different backgrounds, many different schools, and obviously, like, you grow up and that helps you at the end of the day, reaching out when you grow older. And I feel like you would know as well, like looking for opportunities somewhere else, even when you're older, like I'd want to train here and you're thinking, oh my gosh, there's someone I used to swim with who right now is in like Zimbabwe or something. So like stuff like that. There's still that social aspect that you still have. And also just your own value intrinsic. Like I genuinely feel like you are part of something bigger. A lot of people are just living like just the same old routine of school and then home, while you have something outside that makes you a lot better. I feel like people who do stuff outside of school and all that are amazing. Like I think they're just amazing people, and you like your value really grows up. And I think within you would feel like, wow, like I can do all of these things and still balance all of that. I think your value goes up, and I think that's very important at the end of the day. Yeah.
Okay, so this is just thinking back because you were one of the lucky ones who are blessed with talent. There are quite a number of girls who really struggle when they're young. Do you have a story of a teammate, a girl in your team who was possibly struggling and she eventually almost became as good as you or possibly even beat you? Have you ever had a story like that?
Hmm. Let me think. I don't know. Um, this is gonna sound like I'm so whatever, but I don't know. Like growing up, I was the top in my age group, but I also, yeah, there were other people definitely who, because yeah, I mean, work hard sometimes does beat talent. But I don't really have a personal story of someone like that. Maybe there's someone out there, definitely, but a personal one, I'm not sure.
Okay, so if there was one thing you would change for swimming for girls in Kenya, what would it be? Like specifically for girls to allow them to swim for longer? Is there one specific thing, main thing that you think would make a huge difference?
I would maybe say just like awareness. I think for me, it was the whole your body's going through a lot of new changes. And I think around that time, maybe understanding that would have led to maybe me being a different person. I think that's my one big thing, especially hitting puberty. It's okay, like girls are different. So what do we need to do to understand like how she needs to be optimal right now, or like when she's starting her period, whatever, like how do I encourage her to make her feel like it's okay, and then help her understand her different cycles, things like that. I think for me, more education, awareness, and then, yeah, and then maybe creating the space to have conversations with girls about how they're feeling. And then so that it's not like I can't tell anyone about how I'm feeling and maybe I should just stop because maybe I'm the problem, something like that.
Okay, so now let's fast forward because now we have reached to the point where you are 16, 17, 18. So now you're transitioning to university. What kept you going? Like, what was it that motivated you to continue swimming into university?
Well, for one, my university gave me a scholarship. That's number one. So
Okay.
education, my fee waiver, that was number one. Also, but I did take a break from swimming, obviously, because I don't know, I felt like I was swimming mainly because I was good and not because I liked the sport. So when I took that break, maybe understanding myself and maybe that I and like my likes and dislikes, coming back into swimming really helped that. What else? Let me
So if
think.
you didn't get a scholarship, do you think you'd still be swimming?
I would
Okay.
actually. I
Okay.
would. Mainly because yeah, I did start liking the sport again. But obviously, there has to be a lot of support around you. It can be very difficult. I mean, every sport's expensive. It's hard to pay for all these things, you know. But yeah, definitely, I would say support.
So a question, something that all of us guys have gone through, which is a plateau.
Yeah.
So have you gone through a plateau and how did you break through it? Because I've been finding when girls get to about 12, especially the girls who have been training for a very long time, they hit 12. And it's like times are not improving. They're not getting better. And they almost feel like they want to give up. Have you gone through that or yours has been smooth sailing throughout?
Actually, well, I felt like my plateau hit when I had turned 16, yeah, pre-COVID. From 12 up until 12 to 15, 16 were one of my best years. Actually, till now, I've never swum those times again. But um, when that plateau hits, obviously, yeah, you feel like, yeah, like what you're saying, times are stagnant. It's really hard to swim. You feel, ugh, that's the best way to explain it. But you just have to just keep pushing. Also, the drive has to come from within, even if you feel like, oh, swimming sucks and I'm not very good. Like, you have to keep motivating yourself. Like, maybe this is just a phase. And when I was going through it, a lot of coaches that I would speak to, they would always be like, it's a phase, it's a phase, it's a phase. Don't stop now because it will get better. You manage it. Like, there are times where you have a great meet and then you'll have another meet where you are swimming like something 12-year-olds would swim, something like that. But it's just like learning to understand that it's okay when it hits. You just have to keep training and don't stop. Like, you got it. You got it.
So you'd say 12 to 15 was the time you did your best times. So usually after that, you should be improving so that at least you can get to a level where maybe you can qualify for the Olympics. What do you think would have been done differently post that phase that should have taken you now to the next level? Because when you look at the best swimmers in the world, that's around the time now when they're shooting and getting better and preparing for uni to go for Olympics, blah, blah, blah. What do you think would have been done differently at that point?
For me, I think around back then, there was a lot of uncertainty with my schooling because at this point my school had been bought off by someone else. So we were transitioning into another school. But before that, coaches kept on coming and going. So training was not very
Yeah.
like it was just not like that. So it was very hard to be consistent. And now I had to do my own sort of research with my parents and we went to swim somewhere else. But I feel like if that consistency, if I still had that strong coach and not someone coming, going, I feel a lot of things would have been different because my school back then was also very supportive for sports people. So it's not that like there was no support, it's just the staffing back then was not ideal, I think, for us. So definitely, I think if we had a permanent coach, I think things would have been different instead of me moving from one coach to one coach to one coach to one coach. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing from you is consistency because nowadays I see swimmers jumping from club to club to club. So having that consistency in a good club actually helps, right?
I think it does. I think it does. Also, but also some coaches, I mean, it's true. Maybe their training doesn't work for you. Maybe you are a sprinter and you're in a club where all they do is 400s and 800s, and that's not something you want, and that's okay. But also, when you feel like you're not seeing results, it's not because of the coach. Sometimes it's just okay. Let me try harder. Let me train harder, and that's okay. You jumping from coach to coach does not necessarily fix that. I would say that because I've been very consistent with my coaches. And yeah, you reach a point you're just like, this is not working for me. Or you're just like, why am I so slow? But it's just like, just they have a plan, they don't write sets out of, I don't know, their shoe. It's gradual and you need to give it time to see that result. Yeah.
So again, walk me through from the time when you're young to the time you were old. Did you specialize in specific strokes or did you do everything? And do you think it's good to specialize in specific strokes early or is it good to leave it open? What has been your experience?
For me, I did everything actually when I was younger. Yeah, my old coach back when I was in Brayside, she was like, "No, you swim everything. Because why would you specialize too early? Don't inhibit yourself when you can do much more." So when I was younger, I did basically everything. I did IM, whatever, long, short, stuff like that. But it was a gradual increase of things. Also, I feel like sometimes you have some coaches who introduce your young swimmer to like 1500 or something. I feel like it should be a very gradual thing, and I think that's what I had with my coaches. Yeah, so now because I did everything in a gradual manner, it worked for me. And then at some point when I felt like my my plateau or my burnout hit, I started to move towards less sprints, which is very weird because I feel like you would want to do shorter
Sprints.
stuff.
Yeah.
But I kind of distanced myself from that and did more long distance because I feel like that required endurance, and because of how much you're training, regardless if you feel like, ugh, like this is so bad, like your times are not that bad, like you can still swim. And I feel like that kind of helped me in a way, but also I wouldn't tell someone to just like stick to one thing, especially if they're younger than like 16 or 17. Like, you have no reason to be deciding I'm only gonna do long distance right now. Like, I think you should do all, Don't stop yourself. You literally can decide when you're 17 or 18. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I think I prescribe to the same philosophy because what I've realized in Kenya primarily, when a small child shows promise in one stroke, the coach and the
Yeah.
parents will be like, my child is a breaststroke, and let them swim breaststroke, breaststroke, breaststroke.
Yeah.
But having them have a wider base actually does help because you're able to, even just from an injury prevention perspective, from a TDM or a boredom perspective, and also you
Yeah.
get that range. Because another thing that universities look at for scholarships is range sometimes.
Yeah.
You shouldn't just be overly specialized in one event. Have that range, especially when you're young, really helps
True.
beef up.
True, I
So we're coming
agree.
almost towards the end of the podcast, and just to just a few parting shots for you to maybe number one, parents. What can parents do to better support their girls, and what can coaches do to better support their girls? And maybe anything else that you want to tell any girls out there.
Okay, for parents, yeah, I would say maybe be more understanding. I also would say, in my case, I did only one sport majority of my life, which I did not like. But obviously, my parents, it was, oh, but you're so good. Like, let's focus on this and build on that, which was good, but also you subconsciously teach your children not to like the sport. It's like, ugh, I have to swim when I'd rather do netball or I'd rather do football, something like that. I feel like it's nice to allow your kids to do some other sports here and there while also focusing on swimming. Obviously, to not build resentment towards the sport later on, like in my case, which is something what happened. But also just be, yeah, I would say a lot of being like understanding. I feel like that goes a really long way. And just creating that space for honesty. I feel like sometimes it's really hard to just come up to your friends and be like, oh, like, I feel like this, without judgment, without the, oh, that remark. I think that's very, 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 very important. Very important. For coaches, again, I would also say understanding, but also I feel like coaches sometimes, I feel like there's like a line because they can't be too understanding because at the end of the day, their job is to make you be better. So if they're just like, oh, I get it, you can rest today, like that builds that like beats the whole purpose. Maybe just have a lot of knowledge on maybe some of the issues that come up when someone is growing into the sport. So like, yeah, like this period when you turn 12 and I mean everyone hits puberty, even boys hit puberty. So at that point it's like, okay, so you're going through these changes. This is what I think you should start incorporating in your life, stuff like that, you know? Because obviously if it comes from your coach, you go home, tell your parents, my coach said this and they're more willing to listen because obviously they are trying to make you better, you know? I would say stuff like that. And yeah, listen to your swimmers as well. Just sometimes we're just not faking if we're going through it, you know? Yeah, but I've had very supportive coaches. If I need something, if I'm going through a mental block or whatever, like I will come, and none of them have always been like, oh, whatever. Like I have very supportive coaches. I think support is very important. If I need to cry, will you be there to listen to me? And I've had coaches who have been there to listen to me when I'm crying, stuff like that, you know? But yeah, just overall, just to like the girls, I would say just keep swimming and just keep trying. It's very hard out there, but you know, you're harder and you have the capacity. I mean, seeing how you are right now, like that means you can do it at the end of the day. Find people who want you to be better because you can surround yourself with people who are like, oh, you don't have to go for training, just come here. And that's not good. I don't think those are people who have your best interests because they should be like, actually, you're right, go sleep. We can meet tomorrow. Something like that, you know? Your support system really matters. Have difficult conversations with your parents about your future and how you are as a person and maybe help create that space that you would want for honesty so that you can get the support you need. Yeah.
Yes, so thank you so much for coming on the
Thank you.
podcast today. So, for the listeners out there, parents in particular, slow, gradual progression with your kids. Allow them to explore different things when they're young. And listen to your girls, support them, talk to them about puberty, talk to them, and just listen to them. I think that's one thing that has come from this podcast. So, thank you so much for joining us.